And what he's doing is when it comes to his sin, he blames God for it.
Now, numerous things here. Again, to those who've actually read the book, you're going, what is he talking about? It's not even touching on reality, you know. This is where you sort of need to have Fraser Crane potted up and ready to go with what color is the sky in your world? Because, you know, what color was the sky while you were reading The Potter's Freedom is really the question here. The allegation of contradiction is because he completely obliterates meaningful utilization of the term compatibilism, removes it from the category in which it's being used, applies it to everything else. Again, no citations from original sources. He can't demonstrate any of this from Reform writers because Reform writers don't do these things. It's a complete straw man once again. But then here, let me replay that here.
Without blinking an eye, he invokes compatibilism and secondary causes, which are synergism, and now man is cooperating with God. And what he's doing is when it comes to his sin, he blames God for it.
He blames God for it. Now, if I were ever to review someone's book and put that review out publicly, if I were to make a statement, especially about a fellow Christian, that strong, I would feel a fundamental requirement to back up what I say. Because anyone who's read the book, and I seem to recall it very well, I wrote it, that is just absurd. There's no other word to use than that's ridiculous. I did no such thing. I made no such statement. And anyone who has spent almost any meaningful time at all in reading Reformed writings knows that no Reformed person does that. This is just, you'd have to really believe that your people that you're talking to here, and he's in his church, are never ever going to encounter a Calvinist who has ever read anything, who has any knowledge of their faith whatsoever, because this is just such a wild misrepresentation. It's horrible. I do not blame God for my evil. I do believe that God foreordained all that takes place. I just do not engage in the absurdity of crushing the full orbed revelation of God's relationship with his creatures in time, including the incarnation, down into a one-dimensional kindergarten level explanation. And if you'll allow the scriptures to speak, they will introduce categories to you that you're just simply refusing to allow. And it's beautiful. Not what you're doing. The truth of God is beautiful. It requires the greatest thought and reflection and meditation of the mind. But this kind of presentation, this kind of, I'm blaming God for my sin. Brother Tassi, I've never blamed God for my sin. You may say that, well, you can, given what you believe. And I say, no, I can't, given what I believe, and stop editing what I believe. Stop ignoring it. Stop twisting it. Stop misrepresenting it. If you want to make an argument that I shouldn't believe what I believe, or that I can't believe what I believe, then do so based upon my presentation, not your boiled down, stripped down, every category and every bit of logic presented, stripped out, and turned into a kindergarten level presentation type thing. This is not how to do it. This is not how to do it in any way, shape, or form.
Because if God knows what he causes, then all of the sin in the world was caused by God. And man is just an unwilling recipient of it.
Man is an unwilling recipient of it. Now, the fundamental assertion of Reformed theology is that in his fallen state, man is incapable of doing that which is pleasing in God's sight, and that man wills in his fallen state to do that which pleases himself, and that which is selfish and self-centered rather than God-glorifying and in service to others. And so we make that plain statement. But because you have your traditions and you have what you've developed you think is just the absolute best argument against Reformed theology ever made, every element of our direct teaching, which is a part of every book that we publish and the sermons that we preach and the confessions that have been ours long before you and I were born, anything that doesn't fit into your argument just gets dismissed as a contradiction. Well, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't fit what I think synergism means or what I think compatibilism means or whatever else. It would be so easy for me to engage in this type of straw man-filled misrepresentation of your own position. I can't do that because I believe as a Christian man that I am prohibited from doing so. I would be interested as a pastor of a church why you believe you're allowed to do this, but I can't do it as a pastor of a Christian church, an elder in a Christian church. I am restricted by following he who is the truth from using untruth. It just doesn't work.
And if you believe it, you're going to have a problem in your life too as you try to apply that as principles to your life. Secondary causes aren't established in the way that it's used by the Reformers, or the Reformed theology camp. Then he goes on in the book, debating Calvinism with Dave Hunt, and he says, God frees the will once you're saved. Wait a minute. Your premise, the title of your book for Geisler, and the premise in your book that you started with in this exact same book was the Bible says much about free will gods.
And again, here we go. Here is a sadly classic example of how tradition can become a lens that allows you to just see words, but not see words. Because anyone who's read my book knows that, yes, I very strongly emphasized the autonomous divine will of God. But I also very clearly indicated man's will. I even argued against those who say that Calvinists say that man has no will.